Hi everyone, it's Jessica Williams, also known as Jess the Bling Realtor. Today we're discussing contingencies and what those are. I actually like to refer to them as get out of jail free cards. Now, when you're writing an offer, the most common contingencies that there are in the area that I service are inspections, loan, and appraisal. Now, the market has been a bit crazier. And because of that, with the permission of my clients and full education from my perspective to my clients, we've written non-contingent offers. And what that means is inspections were provided by the seller. My clients and I have reviewed them and we decided that we thought it was fit that no further inspections were needed. So we wrote the offer without the inspection contingency. In addition to that, there were comps in the area that supported the pricing that we were writing an offer at. And there were at least a handful of them, so we felt confident that we wouldn't have any issues with the home appraising. And lastly, there's the loan contingency. Now that comes from the lender side, and they verify with the client that all the documentation has been provided, work history has all been confirmed, employment, all of that. Now, what happens is when you write a non-contingent offer, that pretty much means, hey, we reviewed everything, we're taking the house as is. Now, if there are those contingencies in place, oftentimes there's a certain amount of days that are allocated for each, but they all run simultaneously. As an example, inspection contingencies, if we're trying to be competitive without being able to fully remove it, what we'll do is we'll write in a 7 or 8 day time period. And what that means is from the day that our offer is accepted, we have, let's just go with 7 days. We'll have 7 days to get the home inspections ordered, the inspections completed, and we'll have reviewed and at that time decided if we wanted anything repaired, anything credited, or a price reduction. Okay, now let's say that we've fulfilled that, right? We've done the inspections, we've decided what we're asking for, the seller side and buyer side have come to an agreement. We now remove that get out of jail free card. So the contingencies you have in place allow you to back out should we not be able to come to an agreement on any repairs or if the home doesn't appraise. Now, you heard me mention earlier that we've written non-contingent offers. And so in the appraisals case, the reason that we felt so confident writing a non-contingent offer and removing that appraisal contingency is because there were multiple properties that either sold at the price that we were writing at or above that were direct comparable houses. So that's why we felt so confident to do that. But if you're lacking any confidence or lacking houses that have sold within that budget, I wouldn't advise my clients to remove that appraisal contingency because that contingency is there to protect you. What happens is, let's say that the appraisal contingency is removed, meaning you don't have that protection. The lender is only going to loan the amount of money that the home is valued at. So let's say we're writing a $500,000 offer, but the appraisal comes in at $495,000. There's a $5,000 deficit that needs to be for lack of a better word, we need to come up with the additional $5,000. So there's a couple of different options. My clients can pay an additional $5,000 to cover the deficit. They can pay $2,500 and the seller can pay $2,500. The seller can do a price reduction. It all simply depends on that specific transaction and how the seller side is working with the buyer side. So again, if you remove that contingency, you're saying that even if this house doesn't appraise for $500,000, we'll come up with a deficit. But if you do have that contingency in place, you have the option to negotiate. That doesn't always mean that the seller will work with you, but you do have that option. And lastly, the loan contingency. Again, that's more so from the lender perspective. They're going to be working with your client directly, but they're, again, verifying assets and making sure that the employment is there, making sure bank statements have been verified, so on and so forth. Now, how we were able to remove that contingency while writing an offer was I spoke with my preferred lender for my clients, and we agreed that there were no red flags. So there should not be a problem moving forward. If for any reason my preferred lender thinks that there's a red flag or we could be running a risk, then we simply include a time period to have that loan contingency in place. So you're probably dying to know what you lose if you do back out. So once you get your inspection contingency removed, then you get your appraisal contingency removed, and then your loan contingency removed. You're now in a position where you can no longer back out without a penalty. Okay. Now, what that penalty is when you write an offer, there's this thing called an earnest money deposit. And depending on where you're located and where you're looking to purchase, that figure varies. I've heard as low as $1,000 for people putting down. However, in certain areas where I service, people have put as much as 3% down to make their offer more competitive. Now, once your offer is accepted, you're agreeing to whatever that amount is on your offer to get over to the title company. Usually it's about 3 days, but to make our offer stand out, we'll write within 1 business day that we'll get the earnest money deposit into the escrow office, whether it's via check or via wire. Okay, so whatever that amount is, let's say in this case, the earnest money deposit is $10,000. Well, once you remove all of your contingencies or write an offer that is non-contingent, should you decide to back out, the seller is entitled to a percentage of that earnest money deposit. And that really boils down to the buyer's agent and the seller's agent trying to kind of rectify and negotiate what they feel is a fair amount to give back to the buyer side, assuming it's the buyer side fault. Now, if for some reason that doesn't work out, then we have brokers in place where the seller's broker and the buyer's agent broker will step into place to try to help mediate everything. So you could potentially lose a portion of that earnest money deposit. So to back out simply because you get cold feet is not necessarily justifiable, but if you lose a job or something like that, that's a different story. So I hope that I've helped to kind of dissect and explain this process a little bit more. If you have any questions about it, of course, leave them down below. And I look forward to, in the future, any real estate needs you have, servicing you and all of your friends and family. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.